Oh, hey, Pa! This is the place to do it. You know, California's backroads are full of museums so quirky, you often wonder who came up with them. Hey, travel reporter John Bartell here. You're watching Bartell's Backroads. And on this episode, we're checking out some of California's most unusual museums. And we're gonna start things off in Joshua Tree, over at the Crochet Museum.
Come on in.
Well, the first thing you'll notice about the world-famous Crochet Museum is the size. This is not the biggest museum I've been in before.
I wouldn't be surprised.
The cargo van-sized museum is the brainchild of Sherry Elf. Are there many crochet museums in the world?
Not any nearly as worldly famous as this one, but okay. I don't think there's any.
Sherry's an artist and collector of oddities. She became attracted to crochet items when she lived back in Kansas City. And when she moved to Joshua Tree, she needed a place to put her collection.
Building on the side of the road in Yucca Valley, and it became the world famous Crochet Museum.
Inside, you'll find all sorts of crocheted items. Many are stuffed animal figurines that you won't find anywhere else.
Crochet, you cannot make it with a machine. So if you see these crochet things and they're made by crochet, they were made by hand.
As funky as some of the crochet figurines are, they're all made with surprisingly fine details. This is a one-of-a-kind bear on a toilet.
Well, yeah. Is that a toilet?
I don't even know. The items in the Crochet Museum are not for sale, but if you head over to Sherry's store, you may find something you'll like.
Oh, wow. That looks good.
Sherry says the Crochet Museum is really a roadside attraction meant to inspire artists to integrate crochet into their work. Take, for example, Cody Montgomery. He shoots vintage t-shirts with a shotgun and then adds crochet to it. He calls it Totally Blown.
I donate a portion of the proceeds to help end gun violence.
My name is Bunny, and welcome to the show. I'm sure you've already heard about me.
Sherry's love for crochet even has an international following on our YouTube page. Her biggest star is Bunny, a crochet alligator that inspires art and music.
I like my sock, I like my shoe, I like me, and I like you.
It's an alligator named Bunny?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I had recorded the song first and I didn't know any bunny that I wanted to sing to. And I thought, wait a minute, I have that crocheted alligator. I'm going to name her Bunny.
Bunny.
Not everything at the world-famous Crochet Museum makes sense, but art doesn't have to make sense to everyone. Sherry just hopes that her little back alley museum in Joshua Tree inspires someone.
I hope that more and more people will make their own roadside attraction so that you can come and do a story about it.
I hope so too, Sherry. Along Interstate 80 in Fairfield, California, the American Armory Museum is hard to miss. It's a place with tanks that park out front. Inside, you'll find a massive collection of military vehicles, weapons, and stories that honor the men and women who served the front lines of history. This is definitely not a parade ride. The tanks at the American Armory Museum in Fairfield are no joke.
Basically, the bigger the member you are, the bigger the toys we play with.
Curator and general manager Jeff Littman gets to play with a lot of toys here. Rocket launchers, motorcycles, and Jeeps. But one of his favorite toys at the museum is the British-made Abbott, which, according to the Brits, is technically a self-propelled gun.
So like I tell all the kids when they come in here, it looks like a tank, smells like a tank, it's a tank.
You'll find tanks big and small at the museum, including this rare World War II Marmon Harrington tank.
So out of the 65 built, there's only 3 left in the world.
Now, just because some of the vehicles here have tracks like a tank doesn't make it a tank.
So this is what they call a rapier missile launcher.
Just in case you're wondering, yes, all of the retired war machines at the museum do start up and move, and no, the firing mechanisms do not work. And that's a good thing because all the kids in the museum are urged to play with the exhibits.
He wants to make sure that we educate our young the cost of freedom, the sacrifices made by our men and women of the military, and why we're free.
Well, one of the best times to experience the museum is on one of the live demonstration days where you can go for a ride or watch cars getting crushed by tanks. Down a quiet stretch of Napa County's backroads, Lidle's Hubcap Ranch gleams like a chrome-covered time capsule. Thousands of shiny hubcaps line the fences and trees, turning one man's Quirky collection into an accidental roadside landmark. There's a lot of familiar landmarks in Pope Valley. There's the Pope Valley Garage, the Pope Valley Market, and the Pope Valley Post Office. But just outside of Pope Valley, there's a rather unique landmark. Welcome to Hubcap Ranch, the place where lost hubcaps are found. Hubcaps from just about every make and model can be found hanging, nailed up, or in a pile.
You can see the older ones, they go back into the 40s.
In the early 1930s, Leo DeMonte hung up a lost hubcap on his fence. Then he found another one, then another one, and another one.
Hubcaps go on the fence line all the way around.
Lito passed away in 1985. These days, his grandson Mike DeMonte watches over the place, and he's even helped add to the collection.
I'm one of 7 kids, so we used to send everybody out, us and our cousins, and say, okay, I'll give you 1 bit apiece, and go get hubcaps and put them in the back of my truck. So we'd go and steal our neighbor's hubcaps.
Mike says most people knew where to find their hubcaps, and over time, the shiny metal display sort of became an invitation.
Wave them, come on in. You like to talk and like to see around people.
Well, if you think Hubcap Ranch is just a crazy roadside attraction, think again. It's actually a historic landmark.
He was what they call the folk artist. You don't call him a hubcap collector.
Not only is this place a historic landmark, Hubcap Ranch was also a landmark for the U.S. parachute team.
They could see this place from way up in altitude because there was shiny areas.
Hubcap Ranch still attracts people today, and if you stop by, be sure and check out the farm. You can even pick up some of Mike's specialty eggs.
Cage-free, fun-loving, sexy, happy chickens.
Lito lost count of the hubcaps over the years, so it's a little hard to say how many there are. But if the gates open, feel free to count them for yourself. Hey, travel reporter John Bartell here. You're watching Bartell's Backroads, and we're continuing our journey to some of the most unusual museums. Up next, we're heading to Marin County, California to check out Rancho Shazam, a museum dedicated to one man's delightfully eccentric artwork. It's a little hard to explain, but what you're looking at is the culmination of, well, a lot of things.
So this is my English phone booth. This is a repurposed crane. My first vertical garden. The tidal controller, it works in conjunction with the moon.
Like I said, a culmination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
To understand what this place is, you really have to ask Lee Greenberg what it is.
This is the Rancho Shazam School of Art and TS.
What does the TS stand for?
Technical stuff.
The technical part of the self-proclaimed art school is questionable, but perhaps the bigger question is what kind of art this is.
It's a work in progress.
A work in progress that Lee started back in 1989 when he bought this cheap, flood-prone property.
This is my preferred method of flood control. This is fence post concrete.
Like any kind of art, it can be interpreted in different ways. And in the case for Rancho Shazam, it's received some positive and negative interpretation.
Well, I use a lot of found objects, and that has gotten me into difficulty with the county because they have consistently labeled this a junkyard.
At the entrance of Rancho Shazam, Lee proudly displays his last code violation from Marin County. He's still coming to grips with the idea that code enforcement sees his treasure as trash. Lee likes to argue that if someone names or calls something art, then it's art, like the centerpiece in his fish pond.
This is a statue, a fountain that I made. I call it Honey, Call the Plumber.
It doesn't cost a thing to tour Rancho Shazam. Lee does, however, want visitors to keep an open mind and don't mind the artistic mess.
I have to say that this is the maid's year off.
Tucked behind the Cal Poly campus in San Luis Obispo is the Architecture Graveyard, where old student projects go for their second life. For From quirky shelters to experimental structures, it's a hands-on playground that shows how creativity doesn't get graded, it gets left out in the wild. Some are standing, some are in ruins, and a whole lot of them are covered in graffiti. Google Maps calls this place the architecture graveyard, but the word graveyard is not how Professor Mark Cabrina would describe it.
This is actually a living thing for us.
The correct name for this area is the Poly Canyon University Experimental Structures Laboratory. It may not be as catchy as architecture graveyard, but it's truly a working laboratory for students at Cal Poly University in San Luis Obispo.
There is some crazy, but honestly, it's also an incredible kind of rational. It's like rational expressionism.
This geodesic dome was the first structure to be erected in Poly Canyon back in the 1960s. It kind of looks like a piece of playground equipment, but Mark says it's a testament to the university's motto, learn by doing.
The geodesic dome is about how can we create the longest span with the minimal amount of material in the lightest way possible.
Over time, the architecture evolved. Take, for example, the Shell House. Built in 1963, the oddly shaped home touches the earth in just 3 places and kind of looks like someone draped a concrete sheet in the air. Actually, that is kind of what they did.
So it's actually the rebar draping in this position hung from a crane from this compression ring, and then is shotcrete all around it.
And just in case you're wondering, yes, students did live in this house up until the 1990s, and inside, it's pretty weird. Yeah, you could get a nice, maybe a twin-size bed up here. If you thought a home touching the earth in just 3 points was minimal, I do not know what I'm looking at here. You're gonna have to check out the tensegrity structure. It actually floats in the air.
Pulling this cable in tension, using these compression struts to then float this roof.
Experimenting with different materials is also a big part of what happens in Poly Canyon. Take, for example, the hay bale arch. Students in 2004 stacked up some hay bales like bricks and covered it in concrete, and they're waiting to see what happens. So some of these experiments that you're talking about, they are long-term experiments.
Yes, absolutely.
The Poly Pavilion is a fun one. At first glance, it looks like one big spider web of concrete, but
Looks like it's one continuous structure, but it's actually made in precast concrete sections. It's made in our shop, down the hill.
everything you see in Poly Canyon was built by students under deadline, but not every deadline was met. Like this underground house, which is still not underground.
Never completed, but it's still here. It's still, again, like if you think about experimental structures, it's crazy strong.
Unlike most laboratories, Poly Canyon is open to the public, and you can literally walk or hike the trails and enjoy the living architecture. In Roseville, California, there's a place where you can dial back time without needing a time machine. It's called the Telephone Museum. Inside, switchboards, rotary dials, and early operator gear tells the story of how Californians once stayed connected long before smartphones showed up. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell made history by making the world's first phone call, as seen here in this historical reenactment from the AT&T archive.
Mr. Watson, come here. I want you.
Though several inventors were working on voice transmission technology, it was Alexander Bell's phone patent that paved the way for modern, sophisticated phones of the future.
Oh man, look at that hip. He's making that hip action.
He dances and everything.
Well, Alexander Bell probably didn't foresee the king of rock and roll dancing on his invention, but as it happens, this is one of the many advancements in voice transmission that you'll see at the Roseville Telephone Museum.
This bottom row here, the trend line.
I remember this at Grandma's house, yeah.
Well, when it comes to odd telephone history, museum docent Dan Ross Kelly is your man.
Is that an ashtray on there?
There is an ashtray on there. A lot more people smoked in 1957 than they do now, and so they found the need to have an ashtray on your phone. That way you didn't have to move around very much.
Dan says in the beginning, phone companies provided customers with both the service and the phones, and they were a bit rudimentary and battery powered.
Just take it off the hook, you crank the handle, that is going to ring the bell at the operator. and then the operator will connect you to who you want to talk to.
Early phones were a bit hard to hear, requiring people to yell in the microphone, which led to a disgusting problem with public phones.
So the mouthpiece, called the spit catcher in some cases, would then be considered potentially a hazard to one's health.
Not only was the mouthpiece full of saliva, but they were also expensive for customers and profitable for phone companies, especially payphones.
They were bringing in close to $500,000 a month.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
In the early days, payphone companies had monopolies on the market, controlling rates and types of phones people could talk on. That all changed, though, when the Telecommunication Act of 1996 happened. They really got creative with phones.
Oh, they did. They did. After deregulation and customers were allowed to buy their own phones and plug them in to use them, that's when they started coming up with things like this.
Novelty phones were popular in the 1990s and 2000s, and with these new phones came new advancements in telephone transmission lines.
Miles and miles and miles, because every house would have to have a physical connection until they came up with fiber optic. This is fiber optic.
Fiber optic cables changed the industry again, leading to faster internet, broader use of Wi-Fi, and more cell phones, and eventually the end of Alexander Bell's landline telephone.
To know the way your ancestors did it is, to me, it's very special.
Hey, travel reporter John Bartell here. You're watching Bartell's Backroads, and we're exploring some of California's most unusual museums. Next stop, we're heading to Berkeley, California to check out Aftel's Archive of Curious Scents, a museum that engages your senses with aroma instead of artifacts. Mandy Aftel is what you call a perfumer, and for over 30 years now, she's dedicated her life to preserving the natural elements that go into perfume. She even wrote a historical book about it.
These are the materials that have been in every culture in the world in every period of time.
The art of perfume making dates back at least 5,000 years. It was used in cultural and religious rituals, or to simply mask the stank of ancient humans.
Some of it was to sort of hide odor because people didn't bathe.
To hide that odor, early perfume makers started off using some familiar plant-based scents.
I have fir, I have cypress, hinoki.
But as perfume advanced, the search for scent got really curious.
There's this very spectacular material that's been used in perfume called ambergris. It's legendary, and it comes from whale poop.
What?
Whale poop.
Okay, it's not what I thought it was gonna smell like. It's not, it does not smell like poop at all. Outside in the open air of Mandy's Rose Garden, you can smell a lineup of any scents you're curious about. Mandy will even help you make your own perfume, and to help enhance the fragrance you made, she's developed a handy scent magnifying glass she calls an aroma cone.
We invented those, and it was really fun.
Of the 5 human senses, smell is often overlooked, but the mission behind Mandy's museum is to reinvigorate the joy of taking in a deep nasally breath. On the outskirts of Chowchilla, California, the Red Top Market doubles as one of the quirkiest fish museums you've ever stumbled into. Between the bait, the snacks, and the wall lined with trophy catches, this is a roadside stop where every fishtail comes with a side of rural humor. Something fishy is going on at the intersection of Highway 152 and 59 at the Red Top Market, and it is not their signature selection of jerky.
I dare you to eat this one.
The Carolina okay. Maybe I'll wait till after my meal so I can taste it.
You're not going to be able to finish this.
Although the jerky collection is vast, it's not as big as the market's fish collection.
Everything you can imagine. This is a hammerhead shark right here.
This is the Red Top Fish Museum, and current owner Chris Nakud says the man who originally built this place did not like to catch and release.
Ray Flanagan caught all these fishes here, and he kept them. And you can see they're very special.
Ray Flanagan, farmer, businessman, pilot, and tournament fisherman. Ray built Red Top in 1934 during the Dust Bowl era and named it after his kids.
And the reason it was called Red Top is because the owner had 3 daughters. and they all had red hair.
Unlike many people during the Great Depression, Ray Flanagan made a decent living off the red top market, mainly because there was a lot of migrant workers living in the farm camps in the area, and the red top was the only market for miles.
You don't have a lot of competition out here.
We don't have any competition.
Ray Flanagan started many businesses, including piloting planes, and he used a lot of that money to fish all over the world.
That's a blue marlin, 950 pounds. That was caught in Hawaii.
Pictures weren't good enough evidence for Ray Flanagan, so he had all of his record catches taxidermied, and then mounted the 46 different fish species on the wall of the market.
We have a lot of people that visit us just to take pictures here. It's a very popular spot for people to take pictures.
In the 1960s, the red top market was in the way of updates to Highway 152 and 56, so instead of tearing down and rebuilding, he actually moved the market.
And they put it on beams, and they pulled it with like 4 or 5 Caterpillar tractors.
Today, Chris runs the red top market. He's done some major remodeling, including adding a restaurant, cafe, and new gas station. But his goal is to keep the history of this place alive.
Everybody comes here. They're very friendly people. It's a good old American place around here.
Well, they've been moving people around for over 150 years. Right now, it's time to hit the hilly streets of San Francisco on the city's iconic cable car system.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
If the old Rice-A-Roni commercial theme song used to get stuck in your head, imagine listening to people sing it every day.
1,000,000 times. If I had a penny for every time, I'll be rich.
The Rice-A-Roni theme song may be iconic, but Hector Godinez says it's not as iconic as the cable cars he's been operating for more than 20 years.
It's weird. It's a beautiful, weird feeling when you're driving this cable car.
Cable cars are one of San Francisco's most popular and recognizable tourist attractions. Every day, it takes tourists up and down steep streets and past famous stops like the Fisherman's Wharf and the iconic windy Lombard Street. But on this trip, Carlos is dropping me off at the end of the line to meet his boss Arn Hansen at the Mason Street Cable Car Barn.
This is the cable car barn. We're the only one in the world left, and the only cable cars left in the world, the only moving National Historic Monument.
Most of the cable cars in the barn are over 100 years old, the oldest built in 1887. Arn says he's spent the better part of his life working around these relics and takes maintaining them seriously because they're the last of the last.
There are no other ones in the world.
So if they're gone, they're gone. That's it.
Well, that's why the 1906 earthquake took a few out, but they did rebuild those.
Maintaining and restoring a fleet of antique cable cars is a never-ending job, and few people can repair the archaic mechanics on these people movers.
What is this piece of wood here?
Here's the track brake.
This is the brakes?
Yes.
Mechanic Fesimone Copagna says the cable cars may have primitive parts, but they're safe. Cable cars undergo extreme amounts of wear and tear, and some parts, like the wood brakes, which must be replaced every 2 or 3 days, are effective and cheap. But not all parts are cheap.
How often do you have to change these?
This one lasts about 100 to 150 days.
Another piece of equipment that takes a lot of wear and tear are the 4 cables that run under the streets of San Francisco. Each one weaves through a series of pulleys at a constant 9.5 miles an hour.
What does a cable like this cost?
Well, they're good. They're close to 100,000 plus and more for the longer ones. The longest cable we have is over 4 miles long.
Huh. I'm starting to understand why you don't see cable cars around the United States anymore. Very expensive.
Very expensive.
Yes, the cable cars can be expensive to operate, but they've also played a very important part in the early development of San Francisco.
And nobody built on the hills in San Francisco because you couldn't get up there. Yeah. So cable cars opened up the hills to development.
Mike Phipps is the director of the Cable Car Museum, a free museum located at the Mason Street Cable Car Barn. Mike says San Francisco owes a lot to cable cars and inventor Andrew Halliday.
Andrew Halliday and his father came from Scotland. They held a lot of patents for wire rope, which is what we call cable today.
During the gold rush, Halliday's wire rope or cable was used to move heavy gold ore carts up and down mountains because it was durable In 1873, Halliday started using his cables to move people up and down San Francisco's hills.
It was a success from the beginning. He made a tremendous amount of money, good return on his investment.
Before long, cable car companies were popping up all over the city. For decades, it was the primary way to get around, until the 1940s when powerful diesel buses were introduced.
But they elected a mayor in 1944, Mayor Lapham, very famous, Eastern shipping magnate, and he decided that as the war was coming to an end, we needed to get with the times.
At the time, the cable car system was falling apart, and replacing them with buses seemed to be the cheapest option. But an activist by the name of Friedel Klusman started a movement to save the cable cars, which eventually went up for a vote.
And it won 3-1. San Franciscans did not want to see their cable cars ripped out.
And thanks to that vote, cable cars are one of San Francisco's top attractions, moving tourists from stores to restaurants across the city. I guess you could say it's a San Francisco treat. Well, thanks for watching Bartell's Backroads, special edition, California's most unusual museums. I hope it's inspired you to take a little road trip of your own. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads.